It is January the 16th. It's the 16th here. January the 15th, we have 11 games to go through. We have some wild endings. We had a Brooklyn game. I don't know what we're going to talk about when it comes to the Brooklyn game. Anyway, let's get into all of it. This is the Wednesday post-game show. Let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Cause I'm loud in the blunt, yeah. I do and say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I'm Adam King. Find me at Twitter and Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere, everywhere you consume your fantasy basketball content. Please go and find us and download, do everything. We are part of the Old Man Squad at Old Man Squad on Twitter. Now we'll get straight into the games because there's a lot of them, a lot of stuff to talk about. Some quick promos, I guess, just before we dive in. The trade deadline show, Dan Vesperis and I will be hosting that in 3 weeks, something like that. He has tweeted out the link. I've tweeted out the link. I know he wants to get to 1,000 pre-likes. So if you haven't yet, if you could go and pre-like that show, that would be great. Now, I don't think he's tweeted out this. Let me just have a look. I don't want to jump the gun if he hasn't, but there is potentially another show coming up, although he probably would have tagged me in it, to be fair. All right, let's have a look. No. Oh, yes, he has. Sorry, yes, he has. So this Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, so 12 p.m. Pacific, I will be hosting Trade Talk with Raphael Johnson. I was then going to do my pre-game show, but I'm going to have to do my pre-game show earlier than that because I'm going to join Dan at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. He's hosting, or we're hosting. He's hosting. I guess I'm just on the show with him, as will other people. I'm not sure who, but he will have a range of other people. A live Q&A fundraiser for Palisades Elementary School where his son attends or attended. So yeah, bookmark that. As I said, he has tweeted that out. I'm just going to repost it now. And go and pre-like that. Join us. Bring your questions. So yeah, raise some money for his son's school. All right. Let's get into these games. Let me now I see there's a few comments there. We'll get to those at the end. All right, New York at Philadelphia. New York get the win in overtime. There was no Karl Anthony Towns, so hurt his thumb in was it the previous game? One before. Anyway, hurt his thumb, jammed it on the backboard. Scans have revealed a bone chip in his thumb, as well as a bit of a sprain kind of thing. He is supposedly going to play through this. So we saw something similar from, I want to say, Domantas Sabonis. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, where he played through a finger or a thumb or hand injury. Didn't really seem to impact him. Cat's going to give this a go. It doesn't mean he won't need surgery eventually. He didn't play tonight simply because of swelling. So once that swelling goes down, they will strap him up and see how he goes, which is a very New York thing to do. So he wasn't in tonight, but don't expect a lengthy absence here as it currently stands. Of course, with him out, we got a lot more of the other four starters. Josh Hart had a triple-double, 10, 17, 12, 4 steals. Of course, I was up against him in industry pickup, so that's fantastic. OG Anunoby was... he was okay. He sort of picked things up late here. It was looking pretty rough. 17, 4 and 4 with a steal. The shooting is still a bit off. Jalen Brunson, nice game for him. Mikal Bridges was better in this one, but scoring only. I mean, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. He is moving away from that two-way kind of a profile into more of just a scorer, which is a shame. Jericho Sims started. He had 8 and 7. We know that when Towns is out, we'd rather Precious Achua. He had 10 and 6 with 3 blocks and 1 steal. So if Cat does miss another game or two, which is possible, Achua is who I'd be looking at there. McBride had 13 points in 22 minutes, but I'm not really interested in him. Now, with 11 games, I'm going to try and move quite quickly through this. So hopefully I cover everyone that's relevant or whose value sort of shifts. But I'll try to just gloss over players we're not really doing anything with. Paul George, better. Tyrese Maxey, very good. No Embiid, of course. Yabusele, the minutes are still really good, 38 of them, 9, 5, and 6. He should be held as long as Embiid is out. We hold him, especially while Drummond is out. We don't know who's going to come back first there. Kelly Oubre had 16 and 10 with 2 steals and a block. Must roster player. Eric Gordon, 3 threes. You stream him in if you want to, but it's pretty depressing. Justin Edwards, who was coming off that very good game the night before, he had 10, 2, and 3 with a steal. So if you held on to him, this is okay. It's not terrible, but there's no long-term value here, especially once they start getting people back on the floor. Boston at Toronto, another pretty bad loss for the Celtics here, 110-97 against a Toronto team that didn't have Emmanuel Quickley. They lost Ochai Agbaji. And Boston were fully healthy, so they just didn't play well. I'm actually not going to take too much away from this. Tatum was pretty average. Brown was pretty average. White, very average. Huge buy low opportunity on Derek White at the moment, if you would like to execute that. Drew Holiday, he's a hold, but not an exciting hold. Porzingis was actually pretty good in this one, 18, 8, and 3 with 2 blocks and a steal. Peyton Pritchard back on track to some degree, 20 points, 4 assists, 4 threes. They really just had to try and find production anywhere they could get it. And he rewarded them, and he rewarded fantasy managers. For Toronto, as I said, no Emmanuel Quickley. So Davion Mitchell started. He can be streamed for assists and steals if you're desperate. But I'm not that desperate. RJ Barrett was better in this one. Good to see. He had 22, 10, and 8 with a steal and a block. 1 of 4 from the line is a bit of a kick in the balls, but that's fine. We will take the other numbers. Scotty Barnes had 18, 9 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. So a fairly well-rounded game for him. He shot the ball fairly well. So, yeah, a nice night. Grady Dick, 12 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. I think we can drop him. This was with no Emmanuel Quickley and with Ochai Agbaji only playing 12 minutes. They still only played 25 minutes of Grady Dick. So he's probably more of a streamer now. He's a fairly good streamer just because he's starting. So any stream option that is a starter at least has a somewhat safe floor. But honestly, I mean, if Bruce Brown was getting more minutes, if Kelly Olynyk was getting more minutes, we'd rather them. But Grady Dick still is ahead of them in the rotation, so he would be the streaming preference. I don't think we need to hold him. I probably will in a 16-team league, and I think that's the only league I've got him in. All right, Memphis at San Antonio. Good win for the Grizzlies, 129-115. Well, what do we want to talk about here? Jaren Jackson, Desmond Bain, Ja Morant, all very serviceable here. Let's talk about the center rotation. Zach Edey, he had 6 and 5 with a steal. It is trending towards him being nothing more than a streamer, a specialist for rebounds and blocks. And honestly, there's probably better options out there. On some nights anyway. 17 minutes. Brandon Clark only played 11. They just went with Santi Aldama here. They went small ball against Wemby. Try and play him out of the game, which they did to some degree. Aldama had 20 and 10. He's just one of those guys that somehow finds a way to value. So I think we just hold him. it seems pretty unlikely that we would get a week of bad Santi Aldama. Something will happen. There'll be an injury, a matchup. He just seems to have luck on his side. Luke Kennard had 15, 9 and 3 in his 30 minutes. That's very interesting that he played over Jalen Wells. I think he's a better player than Jalen Wells at this point. So if you've got Kennard, I'd just be holding him and see where this goes. Scottie Pippen, he is that stash kind of stream for if and when Ja Morant doesn't play. But, of course, he did play here. So Scottie Pippen had 3 points, 5 assists and a steal. Jay Huff, 11 minutes, 11 points. He's not worth rostering. Brandon Clark, he does contribute across the board. He had 5 and 5 with 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block in 11 minutes. That might be valuable in deeper leagues, but standard leagues, I don't think we need to be holding him. For the Spurs, Wemby, 13 and 12, shot 5 of 19 from the field. It was just a really bad shooting night. But he had 8 blocks. He had 2 steals, 12 rebounds, as I said. So everything else is fine. He just couldn't shoot the ball. Chris Paul had 8, 5 and 5, not his best night. Devin Vassell, another encouraging performance, 21, 5 and 3 with 2 steals. That's 2 in a row, I think, now of shooting at least 50%. So hopefully he's figured things out here. Steph Castle, good game. 26 points, 4 assists. Didn't do a lot else, but he scored the basketball. He led the team in shot attempts. We are absolutely not going to see this again anytime soon. But as long as Jeremy Sohan is out, I think Castle and Keldon Johnson are the two we want to consider. Keldon Johnson had 17 points with 4 rebounds. He is also just a points guy. Castle at least has some assists upside. So I think both are considerations. Okay, Orlando at Milwaukee. Easy win for the Bucks. Orlando obviously very undermanned at the moment. We got a patented Tristan Da Silva donut. He's very good at this. 0 points, 4 rebounds, 22 minutes. He's going to fall off the radar, obviously, once they get more and more healthy. Paolo had 22 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a block. Probably his worst game since returning. He also had 7 turnovers, but the counting stats are good enough. Cole Anthony had 11 and 9 in his 27 minutes. He's a hold, but only until we start getting guys back, like Suggs specifically and Franz Wagner specifically. Wendell Carter started at center. We thought he probably would. 12 and 10 with 2 steals. I guess we have to add him. I do think that this was probably not the best reflection of what the minute split might look like between he and Jonathan Isaac moving forward. Isaac only 15 minutes, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. So if you picked him up, as I did, it's not all bad, but the second unit here was just blown off the court. So I'm not too worried. If I picked up Isaac, I would probably hold him. I would hold Wendell Carter. Goga Bitadze was ruled out, but with a concussion, we talked about this in the pregame show of whether this is a good thing. Does it mean that the hip is not an issue moving forward and it's just the concussion, or is it just that they're waiting for the concussion to pass and then he will be out with a hip injury? We don't know. I would hold Goga if you can in your IR spot, and we just roll it with Isaac and Wendell Carter. KCP, he played, had 8 points. He's fine again to stream in, but not super exciting. I think his floor is safe enough. For the Bucks, look, didn't need to do a lot here, to be honest. So I really don't think there's anything to talk about for the Bucks. And that's a good thing. Atlanta at Chicago. Undermanned Atlanta get the win over Chicago. So Atlanta were without Trae Young. They were without Jalen Johnson. They were without DeAndre Hunter. Was that all? Oh, Riesachet, that's right. Zachary Riesachet also out. So we got a starting lineup of Veet, Krejci, David Roddy, Clint Capella, Keaton Wallace, Dyson Daniels. As we thought, Dyson did a little bit more, which he tends to do when Trey isn't there. He had 18 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 1 3. 3 of 7 from the line. It's not great. Everything else is perfectly fine. Veet Krejci, talked about him yesterday. I have a weird affiliation, affiliation is not the word. Weird fascination. I don't know what the word is. Anyway, I like Veet Krejci. 11, 3 and 6 with 2 blocks. As long as Ricochet, Hunter, as long as they're out, sure, give Veet a look. He did leave this game momentarily, but was able to come back. David Roddy, 4 and 6 with 3 steals. No, thank you. Clint Capella had 11 and 10 with a block, but once again was outplayed by Onyeka Okongwu. He had 13 and 7 with a steal and a block. That's 2 really good ones in a row for him. So make sure he's not available. Shouldn't have been. We've been sort of plugging him as a hold for weeks now. And then we've got Keaton Wallace and Daquan Plowden. So Keaton Wallace we've probably heard of because he has started a couple of games this year. Hasn't done anything in those starts. He came out of nowhere, had 27, 6 and 6 with 4 steals. If you streamed him in, well done to you. Do I see this happening again? No, I don't. Trey Young was out with a rib thing. I don't think it's anything serious, so he should return, fingers crossed, for the next game, which would mean Keaton Wallace will barely touch the floor. So if you want to hold him just to see if Trey is going to miss more time, then you could absolutely do that. But no assurances here at all. Daquan Plowden, now you could be forgiven for not knowing who he is. 19 points, 4 rebounds in his 25 minutes. This was actually his debut, so that's a good reason to not know who he is. 7 of 8 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3. Even less of a chance of this happening than Keaton Wallace doing it again, I would say. Great to see him out there, but yeah, again, it took a lot of absences for him to even get into the rotation. So it's great. It won't happen again, I don't think. Bogdan played, apparently, 3 points, 1 of 10 from the field. He's probably a hold, but man, he has been bad. Yeah, he probably is a hold, but I'm okay moving on because his ceiling is pretty capped, it looks like, this season. For the Bulls, they were without Lonzo Ball, as expected. Rolled out their usual starting lineup, none of whom was spectacular. Vooch had 14 and 16. It's fine. Kobe White had 16 and 6 with a steal and a block. Levine cooled off here, 15, 6 and 7 with 2 steals. So the numbers are still pretty good. Just Bulls never really, I don't know, they didn't seem to be super engaged in this one. It was the second night of a back-to-back. Josh Giddey had 7, 10 and 3 with 2 blocks. Dosunmu returned, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals in 25 minutes. That's pretty good if you streamed him in or activated him tonight. But remember, we've got Lonzo to come back in the next game, and he has been playing 25 minutes as well. So I'm not sure. I mean, Dale and Terry, he probably just won't play. Taylor Horton-Tucker, devastating news. He got injured in this one, so he just won't play. Javon Carter won't play. So what have we got? It's like 5, 9, 14. There's 14 minutes that really just don't need to be in the rotation at all. Maybe Buzelis, he would probably play less, maybe 5 less. There's 20 minutes. So I don't know. Maybe we get a 22-minute split of Dosunmu and LaMelo here, or depending on who's playing better, we get 26 and 20 or something like that. So I think both you could hold and just see how it plays out, but I think Lonzo is probably the slightly better option, at least per minute. Dallas at New Orleans. Pelicans get the win here on a pretty dodgy end of game play, let's say, 119 to 116. It was 117, 116. I think that was the score. Dallas had a sort of a wide open layup. I think it was Dinwiddie, maybe. It was ruled a block by Trey Murphy. It was not even close, to be honest. I don't know what the referees were looking at. It was a blatant goaltend. Was not referred. They didn't have a referral or whatever left, and the fact that this is not overturned it's a joke, to be honest, because it wasn't even close. It wasn't even even the Pels commentators. To be fair, they were very appreciative of the call, but even they were sort of touching wood and counting their lucky stars. They said it's obviously a goaltend. So they got away with one there, and the fact that nothing is done, and as I say all the time, the referees are not accountable here. There will be no reprimand, nothing for the referees, despite missing an obvious call that potentially cost the Mavericks the game. We don't know what would have happened after that. It was not great for the Mavs. No Kyrie Irving, he was sort of going to play, then he wasn't, and he ended up not playing. So Dinwiddie moved into the starting lineup, 25-4 with 3 steals. Hopefully you held on to him. Quentin Grimes also had 14-2-2 with a steal. I was aboard the Grimes train over Dinwiddie. I know this is only one game, but Grimes only playing 19 minutes here. Jaden Hardy played very well, to be fair. He had 21-5-2 with a steal. I think we can move on from Grimes. Irving is back now. They're saying Luka is going to be back before the All-Star break, so I'm okay moving on from Grimes. I did move on from Grimes in a 14-team league and picked up Nembhard, I think Andrew Nembhard. So, yeah, I think we're okay to do that. Dan Gafford, of course, no Derek Lively. He had 27-12 with 2 blocks. I was also against Dan Gafford in that same league as Josh Hart. So that's also fantastic. Klay Thompson, 12-2. He's a hold, I guess. PJ Washington had 14-14 with a steal. He is a hold. Najee Marshall, 7-10 with 2 steals. He is also a hold. I think of the 3 of the Dinwiddie, Marshall, Grimes trio, Grimes is the one we can probably move on from. Saying that, he'll probably come out in the next game and have 20 points and hit 6 threes, but we will see. For the Pelicans, Trey Murphy, he had 3 blocks, including the game-winning block. Another really good game, though. I said yesterday he's arguably their best player. I think it's almost clear now that he is probably their best player or their most consistent player. No Zion here. He was resting, so Yves Missi had 12-6 with 2 blocks, 1 steal. I was also against him in industry pickup. So that also thank you, Zion, for sitting. Javonte Green, 13-7 steal. He's okay as a streamer. You don't need to hold him beyond 1 game. Just move on. DeJounte Murray had 37-7 with 2 steals. Those ridiculous steal numbers he was getting like a month ago, they've fallen off. CJ McCollum, 11 points, another dud from him. And then we got nothing from the bench. Jordan Hawkins hit a couple of threes and had 3 steals. If you did stream him in, I'm not really interested in anyone here because Zion will be back and Brandon Ingram is very close. Charlotte at Utah, good win for the Hornets. We don't see many. Well, was it a good win? I don't know if they want to win. But let's look at the numbers. Josh Green, nothing. Don't need him. Brandon Miller, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Nice night for him. So that's a good thing. He hadn't been overly exciting the last little bit. LaMelo Ball had 27 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks, not steals, blocks today. Shot over 50% from the field. I don't know what's going on there, but great. Miles Bridges, his best game of the season, close to 25-10-4 with a steal and a block, 3 threes, perfect from the line. Very quietly, one of the more influential free throw shooters this year, Miles Bridges. I don't know where is he? I know that because I have him on my team where I need free throw percentage. I just want to have a look at what he's at. I'm saying that without looking at any numbers, so I hope I'm right. Yes, 89.3% from the free throw line on 3.5 attempts. So he's been a very nice source of free throws. And Mark Williams, look at this, 31 and 13, 2 steals, 1 block, 12 of 14 from the field, and 36 minutes. I didn't think we'd ever see the day that he plays 36 minutes. Now, of course, Nick Richards was not here. He was traded, and let's talk about the trade now very quickly. He was moved to Phoenix, which we had heard rumours regarding this trade, but it was not for Yusuf Nurkic. It was for Josh Okogie. I'm not sure Okogie will stay here. There's no point. I think he can be moved to a contender, so the Hornets he might play, but I don't think he's here long term. What do we do with Nick Richards, though, in Phoenix? Well, I think he's better than Plumlee. I don't think there's any doubt there. At the moment, he's better than Iguodaro. Iguodaro could be better, but at the moment, Nick Richards is better. So do they slide him straight in to start? I'm not sure. Is there thinking here to start him after 2 or 3 games once he's accustomed, used to the team, the offense, that sort of thing? It wouldn't surprise me if he starts. And Plumlee could absolutely just fall out of the rotation here and not play. I tweeted this out. So if Nick Richards can start or come off the bench, but if he can play 25 plus minutes, I think he's probably an ad. He's obviously a little bit limited. His rebounds, his blocks, his field goal percentage, but that's fairly common for a center. If he starts and plays 28 minutes, absolutely he's an ad. If he comes off the bench and they run a 3-headed sort of center monster here and he plays 16 minutes, then nothing changes. I don't think we need to add him. But if you want to get out ahead of this, go and pick him up. These transactions usually take place fairly quickly once they're all approved. So I don't know when Phoenix play next, but he could be suiting up in the next game or the one after that. They probably play tomorrow, actually, because they didn't play today. I added him in 2 leagues. Yeah, if you need a real life example, one of those was industry pickup. I added him because he's a perfect fit for my build. Who did I have? I think I had Derek Lively. So I just moved him to my IR spot, picked up Nick Richards, and I picked him up in another league that I'm in, which is a 12-team league, and he fits my build. I think I moved someone into the IR spot, Ben Simmons maybe, and picked up Nick Richards as well. So I have added him. We will see what happens. I'm not super confident. All right, Utah. Cody Williams started, did nothing. No surprise there. Micah Potter started, did nothing. Walker Kessler, not his best game, 11 and 8 with 2 blocks, but this is fine. I wanted a little bit more. I was hoping for more tonight in specific leagues, didn't get it. Keontae George returned from his however many games he was out, 26 and 6 with 2 steals, so his best game of the year, maybe, close to. Great to see. He should have been rostered. Just make sure that he isn't floating around there somewhere. Isaiah Collier, we hold 11 and 10. The offense is still very sporadic, but the assists have been very consistent. The question will be what happens when Colin Sexton comes back. And does Collier move to the bench, or do they start 3 guards? Depending on who they're against, they could start all 3. Because they don't have Markkanen, they don't have Collins. They normally go big, but they might not. Maybe they go small. Maybe Sexton comes off the bench. He did come off the bench earlier in the season. So I'd hold all 3 at this point and see. Bryce Sensabaugh had 19 points in his 27 minutes. Just keep rolling with him until Markkanen and Collins, if Collins comes back. Filipowski, 23 minutes, 8 points, 2 assists. Not great. You could hold him if you want to, but it's going to be pretty up and down here, I think. Houston at Denver, easy win for the Rockets, 128 to 108. No Yusuf Nurkic, no Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets. For the Rockets, Amen Thompson, 11 and 9, 4 steals, 2 blocks. That actually doesn't look great for Amen, and that's sort of, I guess, shows what our expectations are of him. But it's actually a really good game. He shot 50%, 3 of 7 from the line. You're not going to get elite free throw percentage from him. Dylan Brooks, 2 steals, 6 points. Is he a hold? If he was on my roster, I'd be okay moving on from him. Who else do we need to talk about? Shingun, no. Van Fleet, no. Jalen Green, he was very good. We don't need to talk about him. Cam Whitmore, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 24 minutes. Sort of out of nowhere. Great sign. Maybe he has just knuckled down and he's earning some trust here. Tari Eason could still be 4 years away from returning, so I would maybe roll with Cam Whitmore. If he can play 22 plus minutes, he typically does enough, at least scoring-wise, to be a back-end 12-teamer, at least a 14-teamer. For Denver, no Nikola Jokic, as I said. DeAndre Jordan started, didn't attempt a shot. He did have 3 blocks. He did have 8 rebounds. Nothing to see here. The Jokic injury is an elbow inflammation or something, so I don't think it's anything long-term. Michael Porter, he laid a dump in this one, 8 points. It just wasn't a good game. You can see, Westbrook played 25 minutes. Jamal Murray, he played relatively well, but still only 30 minutes. So we don't really need to take too much away from this box score on the Denver side because we know that Jokic has such a huge impact on them. Aaron Gordon was also out. So we got some Dario Saric, Jalen Pickett. That's how deep we went in this rotation. Golden State at Minnesota. We're getting there. 3 games left. Warriors get the win, 116-115. Guy Santos, first career start for him. He had 5, 7, and 3. Good to see him starting. Not someone we need to roster when they're healthy. I know he had a couple of intriguing performances, but that was typically coming when Curry was out, when Wiggins, I think, was out. So when they're healthy, I know Draymond's not here, but they're still relatively healthy. So not much interest there in Santos. Trace Jackson-Davis had 15 rebounds, 2 blocks, which is why we are holding him. 27 minutes is enough to be rostered. Schroeder, God, he's boring. 12 and 3 with 2 steals. Again, probably a hold, but not an exciting one. I'd be okay to move him if there's a hot free agent available. Buddy Hield had 18 points, 3 threes, 3 steals and 2 blocks. That's out of nowhere. I'd have him over Schroeder at the moment. And that's saying something because I'm not that high on Buddy Hield. But he is playing better. For the Wolves, Rudy Gobert. Speaking of disappointments, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks is fine. 7 points. Didn't miss a shot. He's not as bad as Ayton. If we put him on the Ayton scale, he is better than that. So we hold. Jaden McDaniels, actually a fairly good game. 14 points, 2 blocks, 1 steal, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So do we hold him? Maybe we do. I don't know. It's hard to make a case for holding him because he is so inconsistent, but you could certainly hold him right now and see where it goes. Edwards was very good in this one, apart from the shooting, which has been weirdly up and down. Dante DiVincenzo, 28 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. Where was this? A month, 2 months ago? I have no idea. Very clear add, hold. Naz Reid had 15 and 6. That's probably a good night, given what we've seen from Naz Reid this season. And Mike Conley. What the hell is going on with Mike Conley? 1 point, 3 assists, and a block in 19 minutes. Is he the most washed player in the league? He's pretty close. It's almost sad how rapid this decline has been for him. Miami at Los Angeles. The Lakers get the win, 117-108. They come from behind to win this one. Miami, Tyler Hero still doing a lot of that heavy lifting. Terry Rozier, speaking of washed, I suppose, maybe Rozier is challenging Mike Conley for that washed title. 6 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, 24 minutes. Just move on. Just move on. Jaime Jaquez had 11, 5, and 3 with a steal. This is not uncommon for Jaquez to have 2 or 3 good games and then 2 or 3 bad games. We're in a bit of a down slump at the moment. I think we hold him, although we do need to see what happens with Jimmy Butler. His suspension is now over. So we will see if he comes back to the team, if he plays, what happens next. Until we know, hold Jaquez, hold Jovic. Jovic had 12, 4, and 8 with a block off the bench. Highsmith, he'd be the third of that bunch. I think if the other 2 are gone, you could take a chance on Highsmith. Khalil Ware played 18 minutes, 8 and 11 with 2 blocks. Yeah, he needs Bam to be injured, I think, to be or a blowout. Because Bam was not good in this one. 10, 4, and 5 with a steal. And we're still only played 17.5 or 18 minutes. So, yeah, not enough there for him right now. For the Lakers, LeBron took over late in this one. He had finished with 22 and 9. We got a random once-a-month performance from Rui Hachimura, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 1 steal. We are not adding Rui Hachimura. Max Christie had 16-3 with 2 steals. Continues to do enough to be rostered. Anthony Davis, 22 and 11, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Very nice. Austin Reeves, he's cooled off a little bit offensively, but the assists were back up here. He had 14 of them with 3 steals, so that's good to see. And, I mean, this is actually a good Gabe Vincent performance, 14 points, 4 assists, but I have zero interest in Gabe Vincent. And probably the quickest game of the night, Brooklyn at LA facing the Clippers, and the Clippers win 126-67. So it's almost, can we call it a 60-point win? 59. Brooklyn were on 35 points with like 4 minutes to go, I think, in the third quarter. The Clippers, hang on, I can't do it there. Let's start with the Clippers actually in this one. Their starters all played 23 or fewer minutes. So this was just a joke. Brooklyn should be this is embarrassing for Brooklyn. I know they were resting players, but this was not even close to an NBA caliber performance. The Clippers are not that good. They're good, but they're not an elite team, and they didn't do anything astronomical here. Brooklyn were just disgustingly bad. These tanking teams are getting out of control. Kawhi Leonard had 23 points and a steal in 24 minutes. So nice if you had Kawhi active today. Norm Powell had 18 points, 3 steals in his 22 minutes. But we're literally taking 0 out of this game. I'm not even talking about the Clippers. Brooklyn, do we talk about them? I don't think so. I think the sooner they move Day'Ron Sharpe in as their starting center, the better. He actually had a good game, 12 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block in 28 minutes. And Nick Claxton, 2 points, 5 rebounds. Just get him out of there. They were without Ben Simmons. They were without Cam Johnson, D'Angelo Russell. I know they were without a lot of players. But Philly arguably had a worse lineup the night before, and they pushed OKC. Like, just because you have a bad lineup doesn't mean you don't try. And their starters just did not try. Noah Clowney had 4 points. Zaire Williams, 4 points. Tyrese Martin, 8. Keon Johnson, 6. Yeah. Who are we streaming? Who are we holding on to here? I guess we're still holding on to Noah Clowney. Probably Keon Johnson and Zaire Williams. I'm not going to go and drop them based on this performance. If you can stash Day'Ron Sharpe, I absolutely would do it, because Claxton he's a waste of space out there at the moment. He's like DeAndre Ayton. So, yeah, if you can afford to stash Sharpe, and honestly, I don't even know if he's a stash. He's putting up numbers, so he might just be sort of an add. Deeper leagues, I think we add him, and standard leagues, if you can just afford to have him on your bench and wait, then I do think we get a Sharp. I don't know if it'll be a breakout, but we will get more of Dayron Sharp. All right, a lot of questions. Let's get to them very quickly. Joseph Kim, when or how do you think Ayton will be a drop? Not yet. Klingon is doubtful. No, Klingon is out for a week. Rob Williams is doubtful tomorrow. It means they have Duop Reith as their backup center. So, believe it or not, they're going to have to play Ayton. And he can put up production. We know he can, as annoying as he is to watch. So, I absolutely wouldn't. If he plays 2 or 3 games and he plays 30 minutes and he's getting you like 20 and 12 with a block, then I would look to trade him. Is Mark Williams going to play 35 plus minutes, 35-minute plus games? No, I don't think so. There was no Diabate, I think, tonight. Is that right? Let me just double check. Oh, where's Charlotte? There we go. Oh, no, Charlotte. Yes, there was no Diabate, so he was just inactive tonight. So his backups were Taj Gibson, if we can call him a backup. So no, I don't think they want to play him 36 minutes. This is good to know that they can. And honestly, then they're not going to be in many winning positions. But great to see. I think he's going to be 30 minutes a night moving forward. Would I drop Claxton or Ayton? Oh, God. For Gafford, I wouldn't drop Ayton just because, as I said, I think he could have a bit of an opportunity here to at least do something. Claxton, I mean, I don't know. Gafford's tricky because we don't know how long Derek Lively's out for. If Lively's back in the next game, then Gafford won't be a 12-teamer. So then you would hold Claxton. So I probably wouldn't at the moment unless the Mavericks come out and say that Lively is going to miss a week or 2 weeks. Then you could consider it. Do we drop Cole Anthony for Keontae George? I'd be okay with that, I think. Shining Knight in my most important league. You have Jalen Johnson, Jokic, Cat, Butler, IQ, Hartenstein all out. Yes, Hartenstein is out tomorrow. That's I don't like that either. You are cooked. I can't disagree. Should we stash Musa for the inevitable Mark Williams shutdown? Oh, no, I don't think so. It could come, but I don't know. You'd have to be way ahead to do that, I think. I did see the final play for the Mavs and Pels, and yes, it is getting very bad. I think we had this question this morning. I'm not sure, to be honest. Should we trade Lonzo for Devin Carter in a 12-team points dynasty league? I think it's okay, but I did say go and hit up Noah Rubin or Matt Lawson. They'll be able to give you a better, because they have rankings and things for dynasty, so they think more long term than me. My brain doesn't stretch beyond this season. What else have we got? So I'm gonna skip sort of comments and just where are we? Basketball Monster has Mark Williams. I'm assuming this is per game. Yes, I think he's going to be a beast. This is why I took him as a top 50 player this season, because I thought he had top 30 upside. We'd had very small snippets of it. We never knew if we were going to get there. So he worked out for me this year. Jalen Duren didn't, but it'll just be whether he plays. If he stays healthy and they don't shut him down, then yes, I think he'll be a beast the rest of the way. But I don't know what's going to happen there. Is Giddey going to lose his starting spot? I don't think he will. It could happen. It could. We saw a little bit up and down early in the season. At the moment, I don't think so. But again, it's Chicago. They're a very hard organization to get a read on. Yes, blessing in disguise for Cat. This does give him some opportunity to rest his knee, so that is a good thing. Do I expect Cat to be out for a long time? No, I don't. I think it'll only be 1 game, 2 games. It's simply swelling. Once the swelling's gone, he'll play. Do I expect Hartenstein to be back before the end of January? Yes, I think so. Is Eric Gordon a legitimate 3-point streamer? God, are we here? I'm going to say no. I don't think so. Yeah, Ricky Council down at 6 minutes. That is a little bit surprising. Time to sell White. Derek White, I'm assuming. I'd be buying low. I wouldn't be actively trying to move him at the moment because he will be better than this. So I would try and acquire him, but I wouldn't be looking to move him at this point. Who is a better player to hold onto for a 9-cat 13-team league? Max Christie, Isaiah Collier, Khalil Ware. Look, Christie's the safest by far because he's playing 32-plus minutes. Collier has been very good, but we haven't seen him with Keontae George and Colin Sexton healthy. Khalil Ware needs a Bam Adebayo injury to be a rosterable player. So I think Max Christie is safest there. Is Aldama going to get a massive deal? He'll get a deal. Yeah, look, he's been good. As I said, he does seem to be the luckiest player in the NBA potentially, but he's played well. He's made the most of his opportunities, which is more than we can say for some players. Nick Richards or PJ in a 9-cat? I think I'd still go PJ. If I had PJ, I wouldn't drop him to add Nick Richards, put it that way. Yeah, should have picked Keaton up. Always hard on a night when there's 11 games. You're always going to hit on a couple of streamers and then miss on others. Why the Mavs were off, Tim Hardaway. Taylor Horton-Tucker. Why the Bulls were off, not the Mavs. Taylor Horton-Tucker is the heart and soul of the team. God. How is he even in the NBA? Josh, Lonzo and Io always share minutes. Who would be the safest player in terms of minutes? I think still Josh. I think Giddey is still the safest out of those three. Refs did not review that decision. No, as I said, I don't know why that can't happen or doesn't happen because it wasn't even close. It wasn't even one where you have to look at the replay and go, "Oh, did he touch it?" It clearly hit the backboard. Is it possible that if Toronto go on a small run, they stick around? It is in the East. Where are we? Toronto. So Toronto are at 10 and 31. Where are we? Where's Philly? Philly are at 15 and 24. Yeah, look, it's possible. I mean, this back end of the Eastern Conference, Washington, Charlotte, Toronto, Brooklyn is pretty trashy. And then obviously that's the 4 bottom teams. And then there's 11th place and then you're into the play-in. So, yeah, if one of these teams goes on a run, I don't think it's going to be Brooklyn. That's pretty clear. It's not going to be Washington. Charlotte could be a team that go on a run if they want to. I don't know if they want to. So it'd be Charlotte or Toronto would be the two that potentially could go on a run. Do I think Okogie starts over Green? I did think of that. I did think that there could be a chance. I don't think so. I think they'll stick with Green because he's there. He's part of what they're doing, where I don't think Okogie is going to be. Nick is expected to start based on reports, says Loandes. Okay, good to know. And he was picked up instantly in Shining Knights, both of your leagues. Yeah, as I said, I was quick. I went and grabbed him. I knew which leagues I wanted him in, and I went and got him straight away. One of those leagues has a games cap, so I can literally leave him on my bench and not worry about him. And then the other league has very shallow starting rosters. So I think we have 14 roster spots and only 7 active. So it's pretty common that I'm having to choose between players to start anyway. So I can just leave him there and see what happens. Jaylin Williams picking up value. Chinchilla asks, wondering if his impact will fractionally mirror Hartenstein's when Chet went down. Maybe. I think they'll just go with a lot of small ball. They'll play J Dub at centre. Kenrich Williams can play a bit of centre, but J Will wasn't there when they didn't have a centre early in the season. So maybe he'll get some minutes. He is a good rebounder. He's a good per minute rebounder. So you could have a look there. With Jokic, with his Iron Man persona shattered by the missed time this year, has he fallen behind SGA for number 2 overall? You could make a case. I think he, Wemby, and Shea are quite clearly the top 3 at the moment, and you could make a case for any of them at this point. Would I send Norm and Ayton for the big bald white? Is this a slump or him being the 4th or 5th option? I think it's a slump. Would I send those 2 for him? I might. I still think Norm's going to be pretty good this season. It's probably a slight overpay, especially with Ayton going to. If Ayton balls out in this next week, then I think it's an overpay. You could get more, or send Ayton and someone lesser than Norm. And it has been on fire since I talked about how much I don't like him. I still don't like him, but he has been playing very well. Same could be said for Tyler Hero, I guess. Dennis Smith. I have seen that he has gone to Real Madrid. And honestly, he could do more than Mike Conley at the moment. What else have we got? Richards or Ayton? Still Ayton, I think. Until we know what Richards is going to do, I think I'd have to stick with Ayton. 3 bad games for Michael Porter Jr. What do we do? Not much you can do. These are guys you can't drop them. He's too good to drop, and I wouldn't trade him now. He was good to start the season, so I think he'll turn this around. What else have we got? So Ernest, you had the question about dropping Cole Anthony to pick up Keontae, and your other option is Kelly Oubre. Yeah, I would hold Oubre over Cole Anthony. Can I explain what kind of usage have shifted from Brunson to Hart for all the assists to go Hart's way? No, look, I mean, they don't really have a second ball handler in New York now. And if you look at, hang on, what am I doing? If you look at last season, because Mikal Bridges, it's as we've seen, he's a shooter now. That's really it. And if you actually bring up Josh Hart's numbers from last year, we could have almost seen this coming. Noah Clowney also got ejected in that game. Is that just because he didn't want to be on the court anymore? That could be. He just wanted to go home. All right, where are we? So Josh Hart, so he's averaging 5.7 assists. Last year he averaged 4.1, 3.8, 4.1. So he's always been around that 4 mark. But if you look at, where's last season? If you look at last season, just reading through the numbers, he had 7, 9, 8, 7, 6, 8, 10, 10, 11, 10, 6, 10, 7, 5, 6, 6. So even last season, the start of the year was very slow, but over the last, 14, for 2 months, He was probably at 5 to 6 assists. And as we know, their rotation is exactly the same, except Cat is in there now. So they're just, I think we could have somewhat seen this coming. Lonzo has effectively hit his version of the late career Derrick Rose resurgence. It's fun, could spike. Yeah, his minutes, they're not going to push him, I don't think. It's amazing seeing him out there, given that he was basically done. He was almost medically retired. We were of the opinion he was just not coming back. And if he did, it would be in a minimal role. So, yeah, I love seeing him out there. But he is not going to push into 30 minutes a night or anything like that. Steve, is Grimes a drop? Najee got dropped. I'd rather Najee over Grimes at the moment. Just based on what we've seen. As I said, Grimes will probably come out in the next one and have 20 points. But just based on what we've seen, I think I'd rather Najee Marshall. Between Max Strus, Chris Dunn, and Jones Jr., who would be the best stream tomorrow? Cavs play OKC. Clippers play Portland. Well, Kawhi won't play, and I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. I think I just saw something about that. Yes, so Kawhi won't play tomorrow, which gives the Clippers guys a bump. They barely played tonight, so they should be fresh. So I would go with one of those two. And then it probably comes down to what you need. If you need steals and, well, just steals really, sort of assists, Chris Dunn. Jones Jr., he'll give you a little bit more. He'll give you some rebounds, maybe more points, gets a lot of dunks. And against Portland, against DeAndre Ayton, he could get 1,000 dunks. So I'd probably go Jones Jr. or Dunn. And if you're just looking for sort of across-the-board stuff, I'd probably go Jones Jr. And the last question, we're at an hour. It's time to go. Traded Randall for IQ in December. Safe to say I lost the trade. Hindsight, you probably did. But we weren't to know. I think that's an absolutely fair trade. I would have made that trade. But we weren't to know. And look, Randall hasn't been exquisite, let's say that. But he's obviously been playing. So you probably did, but who knows? In 3 weeks, after the All-Star break, maybe quickly comes back and he puts up top 40 value for the last month of the season, and Randall is a top 80 player. And then maybe you did win the trade. So right now, yes, you probably lost the trade, but the process that you used to make that trade was not the wrong process. All right, I'm going. I'm going to go and cook some dinner and do some player blurbs. I haven't even messaged Matty G. There might be a crossover show tonight. I don't know. I meant to message him today and I forgot. So I may not. But I'll be back in the morning with a pre-game show. How many games have we got tomorrow? Let's have a look. Not 11. 1, 2, 3, 5 games. Oh, how nice. 5 games tomorrow. So, yes, I will be back with a relatively quick pre-game show tomorrow. Normal sort of time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please go and download and do all of that stuff that I always ask you to do. I'm Adam King. This has been the Balls Deep post-game show. Until next time, catch up.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at fbibasketball.com.